This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can make a scarily gorgeous website. Hey everyone, welcome to Mike's Mic. My name is Jump Scaringly Mike. You know what else is scary? This microphone cord. Today, we're talking about a show that I've been wanting to talk about for the longest time, Scream Queens.
I'm Chanel #1, obvi.
Let me be serious for about 4 seconds. I would say this show is the epitome of pop culture excellence. And I feel like that is backed by the fact that it's always trending and going viral, either from like clips and audios on TikTok or even prehistoric memes on Instagram. Prehistoric in the sense that if something's on Instagram, it was on TikTok 2 months before that, and it was on Twitter 2 months before that. As you may have come to understand, I do in fact love to do a deep dive into a TV show. That's actually a perfect opportunity for me to do the Lily. Serena. But the thing about those deep dives is that they take an atrocious amount of time to make. And working on Gossip Girl and Lost at the same time means I don't really have enough time to do a full deep dive into another show. So I wanted to start a new series called Perfect Pilots, where I go in depth on the pilot episode of particular shows. These are pilots that I think are very good. Naming the series Very Good Pilots doesn't really have that ring to it. So it's Perfect Pilots. But are they perfect? Can anything be perfect? Question for the culture. For example, if I didn't do the Glee full series, I absolutely would have covered it in Perfect Pilots because I think the pilot of Glee is just excellent, which I mentioned in my recap. And there's a fun fact for you already. Scream Queens and Glee are both Ryan Murphy projects. Another Ryan Murphy show is American Horror Story. And if you think about it, Scream Queens is kind of Glee mixed with American Horror Story. Right? I feel like Ryan Murphy makes really good pilots. And I know it's not just Ryan Murphy. It's Ryan Murphy and his girls. Brad and Ian. Do his projects run into issues after the first season? Sometimes. I think Scream Queens is a good example of that too. It starts really strong and then gets a bit messy around season 2, and I think most people would agree with that. It seems like the general consensus from the general public regarding Scream Queens was this headline that I found. When Scream Queens is good, it is very, very good, and when it's bad, it is horrid. I feel like horrid is such a British lady word. That's absolutely horrid. But regarding the double general, I feel like if you ask someone that gets Scream Queens. Don't piss me off. Someone who all caps gets it would say that Scream Queens is amazing. I'm going to mention this again at the end of the video, but I could potentially see us covering the rest of Scream Queens in 2 or 3 episode installments, or I could use that time to make other videos about other pilots. If you would like to head to the comments and give your 2 cents on that moral dilemma, feel free to do so. Now there's a quote from Ryan Murphy here where he says, Brad and Ian and I, the girls, the 3 of us, were always obsessed with the 80s, early 90s slasher genre, and that was always about young people and always about coming of age. We at the MMCU, that includes you viewer, we love a campy slasher. And one of the fundamental aspects of a slasher is the concept of a final girl. If you're not aware of the term, a final girl is the last girl alive to confront the killer in a slasher movie, or I guess more generally a horror movie. There's actually a full definition by the term's creator, Carol Clover, and it has a bunch more rules and requirements about what constitutes a final girl. But yeah, in this context, a final girl makes it to the end. Now, one of the most iconic final girls is Laurie Strode from Halloween, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, who is in Scream Queens. Olivia Wilde nod. She is a Scream Queen. And would you believe Scream Queen is actually in the dictionary? It means a female actor who plays a main character in a horror film who gets frightened or attacked. Are you wearing the horror-themed Trin merch? Yeah, I am. Another screaming queen is Emma Roberts, who did Scream 4 in 2011 and then first popped up in American Horror Story in 2013 as Madison Montgomery in Coven. Now, apparently, the blogs are reporting that Emma Roberts was actually offered the role of Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, but turned it down to be Chanel in Scream Queens, and the role went to Margot Robbie. It's just wild, like... Is this even focusing on me? So we have Jamie Lee Curtis and Emma Roberts. Who else? This cast is so incredibly stacked. Abigail Breslin, Keke Palmer, Skylar Samuels, Billy Lord, Lea Michele, Ariana Grande, Glenn Powell, Nick Jonas, Niecy Nash. And that's just the first season. I love Keke Palmer. Also, Lea Michele is not our only Glee connection here. Apparently Ryan Murphy knew about Glenn Powell because he was roommates with Cord Overstreet, who played Sam Evans on Glee. And actually, speaking of Glee, MMCU update, I was on Jenna and Kevin's Glee recap podcast. Serena. So Scream Queens was pitched as a new anthology series that revolves around a college campus which is rocked by a series of murders and is set in a sorority house. Solid concept. I think Fox did a great job with the promotion of this show as well. The season 1 teaser posters are the main characters with blood all over their hands, and the text says, "Couldn't you just die?" Apparently the promo for Scream Queens was everywhere and people getting pissed off about it. Like, I found this quote that said there was a never-ending onslaught of promotion. Again, I think this was a case of, if it was for you, you would have absolutely loved seeing this stuff around, but if it wasn't for you, you would have absolutely hated it. To help us get in the mood to talk about the pilot plot, let's hear what Emma Roberts had to say about her new show. It's Mean Girls meets Friday the 13th. I think it's laugh out loud funny. It's edge of your seat scary, and everyone is wearing Chanel. What other reasons do you need to watch it? Olivia Wilde nod. Like, literally Olivia Wilde nod. The start of the pilot is very Pretty Little Liars reboot in that it starts with a flashback. We're back flashing to 1995, which is famously my birth year. I'm 27, yes. I'm prehistoric. I'm basically a fossil in the ground, yes. My birthday is December 10, so what's everyone getting me? What are you guys getting me? A girl in a blue dress comes downstairs in this McMansion looking foyer, and she's all shaky and she's got blood all over her hands. She goes to a group of girls and says, "You have to come. Something terrible's happened." These girls are Nasty Nasty Sorority Girl, and this party is a Nasty Nasty Sorority party for Kappa Kappa Tau. They go upstairs and there's a girl in a bathtub and she's just given birth to a baby, and one of these popular mean girls says,
"Holy crap! Who told you you could have a baby here tonight?"
I would say that that counts as our unseriousness reveal. If you were watching this show in 2015 and it just came on and you started watching it and you had no idea what it was about, you might have thought it was serious up until then. Then they hear TLC Waterfalls playing downstairs.
They're playing waterfalls. Is that a baby? Amazing.
So Mean Girl 1 says,
I am not missing waterfalls for this. Waterfalls is my jam. Give the baby some mojito to quiet it down.
and Mean Girls 1 to 3 go downstairs to dance to Waterfalls while Bloody Hands Girl helps Bathtub Mother Girl. And sorry, but I get it. Like, I kind of get it. Like, maybe I understand that they went downstairs to dance to Waterfalls. It's a great song. They come back upstairs after Waterfalls and the girl has died. Bloody Hands Girl is looking after the baby. What the hell are we gonna do? Boom, title. I like the font and color of this, but I do think it somehow gives 2015. Do you know what I mean? Like, it also reminds me of the soap on the Fight Club poster, which I haven't seen that movie, but this poster cannot be real. This is not real, right? It seems so badly edited. Like, the perspective, the angles, it's just scary to look at. So now we're in 2015 and we're about to get an extremely iconic scene. I really want you to hear Chanel's lines, but I also don't want to go to copyright prison. So I will be Chanel. Now, some of the shit that she says is so bad that I can't say it. So I will talk around it. I gotta look out for me. Like, Chanel wakes up and says,
My name is Chanel Oberlin, and I am the queen of Kappa Kappa Tau.
"These are my minions. I don't know their names. I don't want to know their names. They're known as..."
Chanel number 2.
Chanel number 3.
Chanel number 5.
I'm Chanel number 1, Obvi. There was a Chanel number 4, but she got meningitis. She was like, "I'm sick, I have to go home." And I was like, "No, stay." But she went home anyway, and then she died. So another thing I was right about. So the Chanels, right? Chanel and her minions. It's Gru and his minions, but if Gru named the minions Gru as well. The Chanels being named like perfume is so excellent, like wow. Also, the Chanels are nasty sorority girl. Like, Chanel's talking about how people don't like sororities because they're a class system, and she says, well, life is a class system. I feel like the Chanels sort of extend my favorite parts of the writing on Glee. I mean, like, think of Santana or Sue, or even like Nene Leakes as Ros Washington. Quick, referential, nasty, flawlessly delivered. Then make them nastier and campier, or camper? Camper. No? I'm a camper if I go camping. If things are more camp, I don't know actually. Is campier a word?
Here's the definition of cambium, a cellular plant tissue.
Don't piss me off. Make them nastier and more camp, and we have the Chanels. They're sort of like the plastics from Mean Girls if they weren't restricted to a PG-13 rating. Side note, when I was comparing the two in my head, I sort of thought the plastics were older than the Chanels, but that can't be right because the plastics are in high school and the Chanels are in university or college. Right. I feel like you can definitely see the influence of Mean Girls on Scream Queens, even just in terms of the dynamics between the Chanels. For example, Chanel likes Chanel's 2 and 3,
Things you say are hilarious and poignant.
Thank you.
but can't stand Chanel number 5.
Did I ask you to pull down my panties and blow a compliment up my butt? Nobody likes a suck up Chanel number 5.
Also, to give you some more insight into Chanel as a person, her dream job is to be a network news anchor, which is why she's Kappa president, so that she can score a year-long internship with Good Morning America and Kappa sister Diane Sawyer. Chanel gets called in to see the Dean Kathy Munch, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. Her first line is,
I hate sororities and I hate you.
she hates sororities because they're exclusionist, not to be interchanged with exclusive. She thinks that Chanel represents everything that is wrong with young girls nowadays and wants to take the sorority down by revoking its charter. That terminology is not very familiar to me. Like, what is that? Redemption round. What is a sorority charter?
Sorry, I don't have any information about that. But I found something related. Do you want to know what does charter mean in sorority?
Yes? Oh, yes.
Charter, the official document drafted by an international fraternity or sorority that allows for the creation of a local chapter that is affiliated with a college or university campus.
Right. Thanks, Queen. Good job. Now, the reason why Munch can even attempt to do this is because she used to be associate dean and then the previous dean died, so she assumed the position. When Chanel implies that Munch killed the previous dean, she says, yes, I snuck into the home of my 80-year-old colleague of 20 years and dropped a radio in her bathtub so I could get a 5% raise. It's just so good, right? I think this is such funny writing. Dean Munch also mentions how last year Chanel's presidential predecessor, Melanie Dorcas, got an extreme chemical burn after someone filled her spray tan machine with acid. And this happened to Melanie right after she had a go at Chanel
My main problem with you, Chanel, is that you're short. And historically, short people are sneaky backstabbers.
and told her that she'd much rather not have Chanel around.
I would honestly rather not have you around.
Also, Melanie screaming on the floor while getting burned is actually our first queenly scream. As she's laying on the floor, she sees this, a person in a Red Devil costume. Did the Red Devil burn Melanie? Is Chanel the Red Devil? Did Chanel do it? Well, Dean Kathy Munch thinks she did.
You know what I think? I think you did it.
Now, Dean Munch's attempt to revoke Kappa Kappa Tau's charter is challenged when Gigi Caldwell, president of the national chapter of Kappa Kappa Tau, comes into the office to defend Chanel.
You can't revoke our charter. I'm so sorry.
So Munch can't change the charter, but she can change the sorority's admission criteria. We then meet another one of our main characters, Grace Gardner. She's getting driven to college by her dad, Wes. He doesn't want her to join a sorority because
It's actually Game of Thrones once you pull back the veneer.
Grace says that she wants to join because her mother died when she was 2, but she has a photo of her mother smiling and being all happy with her sorority sisters. So she wants to feel close to her and thinks she can do that by joining the same sorority and following in her footsteps. Like, what even is a sorority? We don't have those over here. We don't have that. Back in the day, I thought sororities were something that were made up. Like, Rush? Huh? I'm rushing Yas Ijbol. Yes. I am actually a frat bro. Yes. I am a fraternity brother from LMAO IDGAF Boots Pie. Grace meets her roommate, Zayday Williams, played by the ultra-talented multi-hyphenate legend of the Intergalactic Federation, Kiki Palmer, and they become friends. Grace says that she's rushing Kappa Kappa Tau and that Zayday should too, and Zayday says,
Girl, I'd rather die.
but Grace manages to convince her anyway. Then we get a clip of Grace looking at the Kappa house at night and the Red Devil is standing there watching her. Like, ooh, spooky, but also information for later, because surely that means that she can't be the Red Devil, right? Because the Red Devil is standing there watching her. So now we're at this Kappa Rush event thing, this Troye Sivan Rush streaming party.
Don't look so excited. It's not diet.
Dean Munch is implementing her new Kappa Kappa Tau admissions policy. Kappa will be required to accept anyone who wishes to become a pledge.
The doors are open to the public.
Hearing that anyone can join, almost everyone leaves. Well, yes, the human desire for exclusivity. Now, I said almost everyone leaves. Almost everyone.
This is a total nightmare. If this is our pledge class, I'm killing myself.
We have Grace, Zayday, neck brace, aka Hester Ulrich, aka Leah Michelle with a neck brace, Def Taylor Swift, aka Tiffany something, and
Predatory Les.
also Zayday asks Gigi why she's dressing weird. She dresses very 90s, and Gigi says her therapist thinks that she had a traumatic experience in the 90s and her psyche is kind of trapped there. I wonder if that that could be related to a traumatic experience from the 90s that we have perhaps already seen. But it's about to get bad for Chanel because there's one more pledge.
I'm sorry, Kappa doesn't participate in the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Oh, but you do now.
She's a candle vlogger.
I love this one. I got it at Bath & Body Works, half off.
This is so iconic.
It smells like creamy couches and menopause.
And I feel like it might be referencing that lady on YouTube, like AZ4 Angela.
I bought 2 peach bellinis.
But also, not the 3 views 1 like girl. That's so me. Like, that's so me. Chanel can't believe it. The depths to which Kappa Kappa Tau has fallen. So she goes to talk to her boyfriend, Chad Radwell, about it.
I don't know what to tell you, Chanel. Kappa's suddenly filled with weirdos and fatties. There is literally no way you can be popular.
Chad is so... Okay, let's think Barbie movie. If we wanted evil, silly Ken, we would get Chad. Pretty sure his brothers' names are Thad and Brad, so it's Chad, Thad, and Brad Radwell. So Chad is telling Chanel that if she wants to stay with him, she has to be popular. And she can't be popular if there's losers joining Kappa Kappa Tau under Dean Munch's new rules. We also meet Chad's friend Boone, played by Nick Jonas. Boone... Let's all take a 4-second silence for another Boone from another TV show that is very relevant to the MMCU. Thanks, everyone. Nick Jonas Boone is obsessed with Chad, like obsessed, Addison Rae obsessed, as in it's gone a little bit further than just bros being bros, like lads, footy. Chad and Boone are on the same page here. Chad can't date someone who was popular but isn't anymore.
Are your feet crying?
Chanel comes up with a plan to stop this madness. But first, coffee.
I'll have a Trenta no foam 5-shot half cap, no foam, pumpkin spice latte with no foam at 210 degrees.
I'll have a Trenta no foam 5-shot half cap, no foam, pumpkin spice latte with no foam at 210 degrees. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Fahrenheit is so scary.
First of all, that's really hot. That's 2 degrees below boiling.
I'm sorry, did I enter a wormhole to a universe where this coffee house does not possess the technology to heat my favorite autumnal tradition to 210 degrees? So anyway, Chanel tells the Kappa Kappa Tau maid, Miss Bean, that the way they'll stop the crusty pledges from joining is by scaring them off. She's going to pretend burn Miss Bean's face off in the deep fryer so the girlies get scared and run away. Grace overhears this interaction between Chanel and the barista Pete, and she and Pete instantly hit it off because
I just want a regular coffee. Those white girl pumpkin spice lattes annoy me.
I'm in love.
She's not like the other girls. She's just not like the other girls. She has not like the other girls' itis. Then, oh my gosh, feeling unwell. Something insane happens.
Name?
Senorita Awesome.
Senorita Awesome. I could not believe it. Senorita Awesome. What the hell is that about?
You got it. Senorita Awesome.
Ugh, okay, so Grace and Pete talk about Chanel, and Grace mentions that she's pledging Kappa House, and Pete's like, no. You can't join Kappa House. I'm the editor of the school paper, and I know things, and that sorority house is evil. Then Chanel comes over and tells him to leave.
I think you're getting a little too close to my new pledge, Mr. Convicted Sex Offender.
And reveals that Pete was obsessed with her last year and she had to take out a restraining order against him. The Chanels find a stalkerish collage of Chanel in Miss Bean's room.
I love a creepy collage.
This is very A's lair. I mean, yeah, one of the A's in particular had tasteful stalker collages, but I'm not going to say who because that would be spoilers. I'm not going to spoil it. On top of this Miss Bean stalker collage drama, it's now time for the Chanels to scare the new pledges. Chanel confronts Miss Bean, but she says she doesn't know anything about the shrine. And Chanel's like, hey everyone, hey pledges, Miss Bean and I, we're going to do a little prank where I was going to dip her face in the fryer oil. But now, instead...
What do you think, Miss Bean? How about I just drown you in it?
And then she pushes Miss Bean into the fryer, but uh-oh... The fryer is on and Miss Bean's face gets fried off and she dies.
Oh my god, who turned the fryer on?
Whoa. I thought this was a classy party.
She's dead. Well, of course she's dead. You just burnt her face off.
Grace is going to go get the campus police and Chanel's like, if you do that, I'll tell them that you did it and I have all these witnesses here that will back up my story. Right, ladies? And then we get yet another perpetually trending TikTok audio.
You're an awful person.
Maybe. But I'm rich and I'm pretty, so it doesn't really matter.
The girls all help Chanel hide Miss Bean's body in this giant walk-in freezer thing. So now they're sworn to secrecy because they've all participated in a crime. Sisterhood of the dead body in the freezer. That's a good one.
Who wants cocktails?
Yay!
Uh-oh. Pete saw them taking this body bag shaped package around campus in the middle of the night. I hope that doesn't become an issue.
I have to tell you something.
He loaded a dead body into a freezer.
Grace tells Pete that she wants to help him expose Kappa Kappa Tau for the horrible shit show that it is, so she's going to feed him information from the inside. Remember, he's a journalist, he's doing a little expose. Grace has decided that her goal is to try and get the sorority back to what it must have been like when her mother was a part of it. And to do that, she needs to cut out the diseased part of the organism, which would be the Chanels. So now she, in addition to Pete, in addition to Dean Munch, wants to take the Chanels down, but they all have their own reasons. The next scene is Dean Munch sleeping with Chad Radwell.
You're awful in bed. Are you aware? I mean, just the worst.
Camp. Dean Munch is an interesting character, and Jamie Lee Curtis did such a good job in the role, and that's not me being like, she's so good. Like, she got nominated for a Golden Globe. Pete and Grace go to the freezer to examine Miss Bean's body, but Chanel and Chad are also there to check on the body.
You shoved Miss Bean's face in a vat of hot oil?
Yes, the fryer wasn't supposed to be on. I don't know what to do with the body.
Chanel opens the freezer, and the body is gone.
Oh my God, she's alive. Miss Bean's alive.
Dun, dun, dun. She's gone girl. So in response, what does Chanel do next? Well, a blood oath, of course.
This blood oath will ensure solidarity.
Where did you find that?
I don't know, the internet. I just Googled blood oath and this is what came up.
Chanel number 2 is worried they'll get STDs.
Wait, what about STDs?
This writing is insane, and the delivery is so good. Chanel number 2 bails on the blood oath,
Someone's gonna find out and I wanna be a network newscaster.
and she goes to pack her shit to go home. This next scene is very pop culture history, so be prepared to take your pen and paper out and write some notes, okay? Ariana Grande gets a text saying, brave enough to open the door? Okay, -A. I see you. She's insane, so she does open the door, and it's the Red Devil. He texts her, so you want to dance with the devil? And she says, maybe, and then he says, I'm going to kill you now. And he stabs Ariana Grande in the neck. Arianators are very scared right now, and they were very scared back in 2015 as well. Some would say Arianators, what am I saying that wrong? Arianators, no. No, what the fuck? What? Arianators back in 2015? They're probably still Arianators now. It sounds wrong. Something's going on. She manages to fight back and tries to post a tweet letting everyone know she needs help. But the Red Devil plunges the knife into her back and she dies. But not before she manages to press send. That is just so excellent. Like, what even is this show? We really won in 2015 when this came out. Also, Ariana Grande being in all the promotional material and then dying in the first episode is so Drew Barrymore Scream 1996. There's also so many inconsistencies in this scene with the texting. The remaining Chanels find Chanel number 2's body. Chanel number 1 thinks that this is Miss Bean's doing and she's back from the dead and getting revenge.
Clearly, Miss Bean did this.
That seems like an insane conclusion to just jump to.
And apparently this is good news because if she's alive, then Chanel won't get in trouble for murdering her. Let's take a quick second to talk about the Chanel's outfits. They're wearing Chanel clothing as the Chanels, and Chanel number 3 is wearing a number 4 shirt. Like, Serena. Chanel's 1, 3, and 4 agree to keep quiet about the Chanel number 2 dead body situation until they can be sure that Miss Bean was responsible. Then the doorbell rings.
Good evening, idiot hookers.
It's the start of Hell Week for the pledges. Grace is like, oh, absolutely not. No hazing here, I'm taking a stand.
There's going to be a new Kappa house on this campus, and it starts with us.
Chanel sees this happening and pulls Grace aside for a chat. Can I pull you for a chat, babe? Game recognizes game, right? So Chanel offers Grace the position of Chanel number 6, but Grace turns it down and offers to make peace, but it doesn't work.
You're pathetic.
Walk away now.
That scene is so Real Housewives of Melbourne. Meanwhile, Chanel's number 3 and 5 are continuing with the Hell Week hazing with the
Sexy gopher whore head challenge.
They've buried the pledges in the Kappa backyard with just their heads showing, and they're going to leave them there overnight so they can get to know each other. So they're chilling there buried, and then all of a sudden, the Red Devil turns up on a lawnmower.
Is that killer noises? I'm hallucinating.
Uh-oh.
Are you singing Taylor Swift?
The Red Devil mows off the head of Deaf Taylor Swift, aka Tiffany, and then boom, end of pilot. Olivia Wilde nod. At the end of the day, right? Olivia Wilde nod. So we have 4 deaths, right? Bathtub Baby Girl, Miss Bean, Chanel number 2, and Deaf Taylor Swift, aka Tiffany. And remember, Miss Bean could potentially still be alive. Also, a bunch of the pledges were buried in the ground when the Red Devil turns up, so surely that means that they can't be the Red Devil. So then who is it? I found a quote from Ryan Murphy on a Comic-Con panel where he says that the actors don't know who plays the killer and that he gets them to do multiple takes of scenes as though they were the killer, which is so Pretty Little Liars season 3, if you know, you know. Also, at that Comic-Con panel, someone asked Jamie Lee Curtis why this was her first Comic-Con, and she says, I've been selling yogurt that makes you shit for 6 years. So overall, I would say that the Scream Queens pilot does a good job of selling the concept, and I think it's a good sign that this episode has the lowest score for the season on IMDb. I like how absolutely ridiculous and silly this show is. It's self-aware, and it knows that it's not a moody, highbrow horror show, so that's nice. That being said, not everyone loved it. Downright offensive, possibly triggering, and definitely problematic. Like, yeah, but also, I guess it depends what your tolerance is for how horrible a character can be. A lot of the criticism was that the stuff that Chanel says is just way too offensive and rude, which is true, but the character is presented to us as this nasty, horrible, racist, almost every kind of phobic menace. So does that allow the show to say these offensive and rude things? Some people said no. From my recap of just this episode, you might not think that what she's saying is super offensive, but I cut quite a few things out. Like, I left out the worst, so EYE, don't get in trouble. The rest of the season follows in the same irreverent, campy slasher comedy path, and the plot gets quite messy. I mean, there were already some continuity errors in the pilot based on what happens later in terms of the Red Devil, but I can't talk about it, otherwise that's spoilers. The critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes says too tasteless for mainstream viewers and too silly for horror enthusiasts. Scream Queens fails to satisfy. I wouldn't agree, but that's just me. The audience score being 79% is a little bit closer to my truth. If you're interested in me covering the rest of the season, I could see myself doing a sort of 2 to 3 episodes per video kind of deal, but it depends on if you'd prefer that or me covering other pilots instead. Let me know in the comments. Of course, leave me a like and hit that subscribe button unless you hate quality content. And now, give it up for today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace gives people an online platform from which you can create your own scarily gorgeous website. Squarespace has a huge amount of professional website templates that not only look amazing and fit basically every use case, but then you can customize the look, update content, and add features to make your site stand out. Oh, you want to talk features? Well, let's talk features. Maybe you want to set up an online store. You can use Squarespace to sell your products, whether that's physical, digital, or service products, they've got you covered. Or maybe you want to drive sales and engage more with your audience through Squarespace email campaigns. You could send them a welcome email, you could send them a discount code, you could keep them up to date on everything. And then you can use the built-in analytics to see what people are responding to. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Mike, that's MIKESMIC, to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Thank you for watching, and just remember, I'm always watching you.